Love is Blind is back, and oh my goodness, it is so good. The first few episodes are available right now, and I really feel like everyone needs to binge watch it. It's so good and so awful, like all at the same time, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So I have to speak to it. I really do. Something that I love about Love is Blind. Okay, understand that I love the premise where you have people connecting on an emotional level. You cannot see that other person, and it's all about emotional connection, like who you are at a deeper level, nothing about what you look like or anything like that. So I love that. That's amazing. But what I feel is that people don't know what they're doing. Like, people don't even know how to have a conversation. Like, it's so hard for them to get vulnerable and to really open up. And you really see that struggle, So some of the characters or the cast, this is like a reality show for anyone who's never seen it. People this time around is in Houston, and people get on there. You're in like a room on a couch, and there's a person on the other side of the wall, and you hear the voice, but you don't see them. Okay. And you have 10 to 15 dates or something like that. And you talk to each single person and see who you connect with. And that's the whole thing. Like, who falls in love? And if you fall in love, right, you propose without ever seeing them. So I love this premise, but let me tell you, the biggest lesson that you guys really have to pay attention to, if you haven't seen it already, is that, like, if you don't know how to be open and vulnerable, that's it. Like, this will never work for you. And that actually applies to your real life. Like, if you are not able to be open and vulnerable in your real life, you will never emotionally connect with anybody, ever. So, like, it's like, have you done the inner work to, like, oh my gosh, are you comfortable, and talking about, like, are you willing to put your guard down? Okay, so I have to talk about, oh my goodness, I think my favorite is Johnie. This is this woman who was married before, and she says, oh my gosh, I feel so secure and safe with Chris. And so I'm thinking, okay, perfect. Like, that is what we're striving for, right? You want a secure, attached relationship with someone. And she's like, yeah, bye, Chris. Like, she doesn't go for Chris. She says bye to Chris. She says bye to Chris and goes for Izzy, who is the one that she does not feel secure with at all. And guess what? She learns that he's not emotionally available. He says bye-bye to Johnie. Like, this is bananas, you guys. Like, I just want you to understand something. And this is something that may resonate with you. Like, do you choose the emotionally unavailable men? Like, maybe you are like Johnie. Like, you need to pay attention, watch it, and be like, okay, wait a second. Do I do this? Like, oh shit moment. Like, I want you to watch what she does. It was like, I see her connecting with Chris. Chris is listening. He cares. He truly cares about her. They are connecting. They're laughing. She's like, I have the best time with you. I've never laughed so hard. I laughed so much with anybody. It's so easy. And I'm not choosing you. I'm like, what? Like, this is when I want you to realize something. We think that love is supposed to be hard. Oh my gosh, it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be like, that's toxic. Like, what you may have experienced and what you have lived through is toxic relationships where it's exhausting. It's not easy. You don't know if they care about you. It's like a push and pull thing back and forth, right? That's not love. That is not love. And like, the sad part is, like, as I'm seeing Johnie talking to Chris, and it's like so sweet and so easy and so fun, and they're like best friends, and oh my gosh, and she says bye, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I honestly feel like, we are our own worst enemy sometimes. We fall into a pattern that we're not even aware of, that it's like subconscious, like, what we're used to. This isn't familiar. This is weird. I'm going to go choose this guy who is not emotionally available. This is And of course, sometimes you don't consciously say that, right? You don't say, oh, I'm going to choose the guy who's emotionally unavailable. You're going to say there's something about him. I'm going to choose this guy. Okay, so you guys have to see it. I honestly don't believe, like, even if I tell you exactly what happens, I've only seen the first few episodes that are available right now. The rest of the episodes become available later this week. This is the time that you guys watch it. Like, literally go watch it. And I want to see if, oh my gosh, are you like Johnie? Are you like Izzy? Are you like Stacy? Stacy is super not, like, it's not easy for her to be vulnerable. She does eventually open up, and it was so sweet and it was so beautiful. And like, I want you guys to realize the power of vulnerability. Like, honestly, I didn't connect with Stacy. I can care less about Stacy until she opened up and was really vulnerable and let her guard down. And this is like what I want you guys to do on your day-to-day life. Like, really, whoever you're talking to, like, be vulnerable. You know, share with someone, like anybody you're meeting, like, be real, be deep, like, connect. Like, you really don't know when you're going to meet your person, right? And, you know, it was so beautiful seeing Stacy. Like, in the beginning, I can care less. I was like, whatever, Stacy. She's always, oh, yeah, like, I just, you know, she's just trying to act like she's like Miss Fun, all fun and games and no big deal. And I really didn't like that about her. I was like, oh my gosh, this girl cannot get real, cannot get deep, cannot get, and then she did. And I was like, shut up, Stacy. I love you now. Like, wait a second. And so I won't tell you exactly what plays out with Stacy yet, but you got to see what happens and how that really, truly served her in this whole, like, Love is Blind. Okay, I need to talk to you about, like, Aaliyah. Wait a second. This is crazy, and this is so important for you guys because she's a recent cheater. She cheated on her past relationship. It was like, which is like 2 years prior to getting on Love is Blind. And this guy, Uche, that she's talking to has a real serious problem with it. And, like, it's interesting how she got really upset about his reaction. And it was just like a lot. What I can tell with Aaliyah is that she has some serious issues going on within herself that she has not resolved. Okay. And she has some inner work to do. She's made some mistakes. All of people are human. No big deal. I understand that. But the way that she handled the conversation with Uche, if I would have been the coach for Uche on that show, I would have told him to run. I would be like, no, this is not good. This is not healthy. I feel like, not like Aaliyah is a bad person. She's a good human being, but she has some major trust issues, and that's only going to hurt her and have these walls, you know, and she's not going to be able to, like, truly, genuinely, on a deep level, connect with Uche and move forward because she's still holding on to all this past stuff. She hasn't healed. That's what it feels like on the show. As you hear her talking, Aaliyah, it feels like she has not healed yet. And if you have not healed yet, like, what are you doing on this show? Like, what are we doing? And guess what happens? Do you want me to tell you? You're like, don't tell me. Oh my God. No, like, I need you to watch it. Seriously, watch the show because I'm going to come back and watch the next episodes and talk about it. But what Aaliyah does, I am not surprised. I'm like, okay, and there you go. And that's why. Like, okay, you have to be emotionally available. You have to have the capacity, and that means doing that inner work, doing healing, not bringing your past into your future new possible relationship. Okay? Whereas Uche, to me, really felt like in the beginning he was quite, like, judging Aaliyah for cheating. And I don't think it was necessarily fair in the way that he handled it. And he did apologize, which showed a lot of maturity on his end. But, like, I'm kind of a fan. I'm a fan of Uche. I like him. What is crazy, though, as you're watching, this show is so good. I'm telling you guys, I'm not even like, you know, Love is Blind should be paying me. I want to be like a love coach on that show. If anyone's listening, Love is Blind people, like, I feel like you would have more success having me on the show. Like, I seriously would keep it real. I would talk to each person and be like, what are you doing? Like, what is happening? And so like Lydia is on the show. She's Puerto Rican, which I think is great. I'm Latina, so I'm like, all right, let's go. And oh my gosh, like I don't even know where to begin with her because it's just too much. In the beginning, it felt with Lydia, like, and I want you to watch it so you can learn from people's mistakes. Like I really truly feel like this is going to help you. When you're wondering how should your conversations look like and how should it feel like, I feel like hers was so much like on the surface. I don't know. I just didn't feel it. Eventually did get vulnerable with her, but something that really struck me in such a bad way where I was like, oh no, Lydia, no. She was like, I crave to be loved so badly. Like I want to be loved. I crave to be loved. And it was so sad to me. And I was like, no, that's not when you should like be on the show. I truly feel that it's so important to be self-fulfilled and you don't need to be loved by anybody. Like you're not looking so desperately. It had this energy of like, anybody love me, anybody. And that's what it feels like. It feels like she couldn't, we all find out that, I don't want to say this. I don't want to say something, but we find out that she actually dated somebody on the show. And I won't spoil that for you. I was like, shut up, get out. So what ends up happening with her, I just feel like she couldn't, I feel like she's going to settle for whoever will love her. That is a place that you don't want to be at. Like, I honestly don't think, it's so important for you to like reflect on yourself and how are you feeling? Like, are you dating and saying, I just need to be loved. That's all I care about. I just need it. I crave it. That's all I want. Like she was really saying that over and over. And if that's what you're feeling, it's like, wait, do not put yourself out there because you will just let anybody who gives you attention into your heart, into your life, and you will not be intentional. You would not be careful. And you're probably going to slip into another pattern of total shit. Like seriously. And the person that she starts choosing, I truly don't think at all. Like I don't see it. I don't feel it. I'm so confused by all of the things that are happening with her. And I think it comes from a place of desperation. That's what it feels like. I know. And as I'm saying that, I'm like, shit, is that kind of harsh? I don't know. I have to speak what it feels like. I always keep it real on this show or on this podcast or whatever you call this. And I want you to know if you are watching this show and Lydia is like, oh my God, that sounds like me. That's a problem. Like that's a serious problem. You should not be feeling like that. Like the one that Stacy was one of my favorites because she just finally became vulnerable. I kind of wish she led with that. Okay. But Lydia to me was a very hot mess for me. So no. And then we have Taylor, who is so sweet and so nice. And she was like, I always go for a certain type and someone that looks a certain way, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I love that level of awareness that she has for herself. I was like, hell yeah, Taylor. She's awesome. And so I love that she really emotionally connected with somebody and they were just so cute. And then when she met him, when, they both fell in love and he proposed, I'm not saying names on purpose because I don't want to I think some of you guys may be listening, may have not seen it. So I don't want to totally spoil everything, right? But it is so, it's funny. She was like, oh my gosh, I would never have talked to him in real life because he has a gap in his teeth. I was like, wow. I was like thinking, wow, Taylor. Because I thought like, oh, he's such a nice guy. He's so sweet. And like, he's like a good looking. I feel like everyone's good looking. I don't know. I don't think anyone on the show is like at all bad looking by any means. But it's interesting how she said as soon as she met him, like she was just so happy and loves him already. But she goes, I would never have talked to him because of his gap. That's not the look that I would have gone for. And she said, and now it doesn't matter because I already love him. Like I love him and he's perfect. Like, and that is exactly what I love about the show is that when you put your type aside, it's not about the type. It's about your heart. It's about your soul. Like you're connecting on this deeper level. And they become beyond so attractive to you. You know, like we really have sometimes in our head these standards of how tall and like other certain look and blah, blah, blah. And it's all bullshit. Like it doesn't serve you at all and actually only blocks you. And so that's what I love about the show. Love is Blind nailed it so far. Let's see what happens. If you haven't seen it, make sure to watch it and catch up, because I know I'm going to do another episode about what ends up happening. Oh my gosh. I just like, I invest my time into watching this show and I'm like, do not disappoint me, these people. Like, because I really start rooting for these people. Like they put their heart on their sleeve and they're vulnerable and like, I'm rooting for them. They're so like, I just feel like they're so deserving. Like you're deserving of love, right? And they're really putting it on the line on this show. So I want you guys to get on board. If you haven't seen it, please watch it. If you have, let me know how you're thinking, how you're feeling, who you think is going to be an amazing match and happily ever after. I want to hear about all the things. Please leave a comment here on YouTube or leave a review on Spotify or Apple. I appreciate you so much for listening. I will see you next time. And do not settle for anything less than crazy love, because it has to be crazy love or nothing. Bye. Until next time.